to authority.
Order.
One or more of these members will be participating by video or teleconference, which generally all of us are. So I'm announcing at the beginning that if connections are lost, we will attempt to restore the communications for a maximum of 30 minutes. And if the communications cannot be restored, the meeting will reconvene at 4 o'clock this afternoon via the video conference or teleconference as might be appropriate. At this time, we'll conduct a roll call. Brown? Mr. Brown, are you present?
Did you hear me?
I do now. Thank you, sir. Mr. Couch?
Present.
Mr. Berry?
Present.
Trustee Ekwuekwu?
Present.
Mr. Lamb? Mr. Honeycutt?
Present.
Trustee Arnall?
Present.
Thank you, as is the chair. Notice of this meeting was properly posted on Wednesday, October 21st, 2020. I respectfully, due to the way that we have this meeting set up electronically, and to the respect of those that have signed up and wish to speak, that I would like to move that we move the public comment to the beginning of the meeting, since the bulk of this will be spent in executive session. So as chair, I move for a public comment to come at the start of the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. There's a motion and a second. Hearing no other comment, I'll call the vote. Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown, is that a yes or a no?
That audit was a yes.
Okay, that was a good one, though. Mr. Couch?
Yes.
Mr. Berry?
Yes.
Trustee Ekwuekwu?
Yes.
Mr. Lamb, have you joined us? Trustee Honeycutt?
Yes.
Trustee Arnall?
Yes.
Thank you. And the chair votes to go for yes. As the public has previously signed up, the county clerk's office is going to assist by calling the name. In respect to sense of order and respect to each individual that has taken the time to come and to share their opinions with us or their comments with us, that we will keep each of the comments to a 3-minute maximum. After about 15, 20 seconds prior to that 3 minutes, I will give you kind of a little note that your time is coming near so that you may finish up the point that you are discussing at that time. I would encourage that the points you discussed to say at the beginning. And from that point on, I don't know if there's any other comments. Since most of this meeting will be conducted in executive session, we have restricted public comment sign up to be at the start and commencement of this meeting. So I appreciate those that have signed up. I turn it to the county clerk to begin to call the names. I also request that everyone mutes their devices or their phones or stays quiet if they're within the Board of County Commissioner Hall so that we can best hear those speaking. So Cassie, I believe you're with us today. Will you call the first participant?
Sasha?
All right, Mr. Johnston, I believe that was you.
Okay, thank you all. This trust has with reasonable suspicion broken several laws. I believe that in America, law and order is necessary. A human being regarded as an individual is the proper definition of a person. The first section of the Fourth Amendment reads, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated." Our immigrant family has been violated. On page 8, Article 7, Section 3 of the indenture, it states only a majority vote is needed to pass anything. It does not say 5 votes. The only section in this trust indenture that states 5 votes is needed are to amend the trust, create bylaws, and to dissolve the trust. That is according to page 17, Article 11. That is what they signed for on June 10th, 2019. They have tried to say affirmative majority vote means 5 out of 9. Well, they very rarely have 9 of them show up to begin with. In fact, I have never seen 9 here, which means they would set themselves up to not be able to pass anything according to that logic. There has been, however, a 4 vote to pass through this body before. It is pertaining to a website that was discussed the previous month. This 4 vote majority came on March 2nd, 2020, file number 2020-783. And according to their logic, nothing passes unless it's 5 votes, even a revision or anything. And according to what I have read in legal documents, the general consensus is that affirmative majority is a fancy way of saying majority, which is over 50% of who votes at that given moment. So if you walk out and miss a vote, you can't claim your number to offset the majority rule. 7 people voted, and that vote was 4 yes, 2 no, 1 abstain to remove ICE. 4 out of 7 is 57.143% of who voted. So the vote passed. Instead of acting like adults, we've pitched a fit like children because they, who wanted ICE to stay, lost, wasting our taxpayers' money on a lawsuit that has already been settled. They also have violated the open bidding process, which is covered under Public Competitive Bidding Act 1974 under Title 61, which, like all states, are supported by and mirrored after federal law. Communist Russia would give contracts away without bidding to fatten certain people's wallets. We are not communists, we are capitalists. Nothing is more American than allowing businesses to compete, and nothing more Oklahoman than allowing Oklahoma businesses to compete.
15 seconds, Mr. Johnston.
Okay, they prefer Texas businesses. You are entitled to your opinions, but you are not entitled to your own sets of facts. And we are Oklahoma's reckoning, and we will not falter. Uphold the vote immediately. Law and order must be followed in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. Cassie, who's our next speaker?
Natasha Bassett.
Natasha Bassett, please. Natasha, we still, I'm sorry, what was the next one?
Dawn Spencer.
Don Spencer, are you still with us? I know that Don Spencer is online, so
Sure.
there you
How's
are.
that? Does that help?
Yes, please go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. I would like to thank the trust for this opportunity to address you with this concern. The jail trust is new and is starting off on the wrong foot by breaking the trust of the people. Oklahoma is not a city, county, state, or sanctuary for illegal aliens. It is outrageous for the trust or the county to not cooperate with federal law enforcement like ICE. I have worked for years with the legislature to pass many civil rights issues and have had many conversations with legislators that clarification in the law that the state or any political subdivision shall not be a sanctuary for illegal aliens and require jails to cooperate with federal law enforcement on this issue. So for this jail trust to work against the will of the people and tax dollars be wasted not cooperating with ICE to remove illegal aliens from the city, jail, county, and state and remove them from this country is completely against the will of the people and the responsibility of the trust and the thought process of any reasonable person, any reasonable, rational person. This is Oklahoma. It's not California. So people do the right thing and cooperate with ICE and don't ever let a group of irrational, irresponsible imbeciles screaming at you in a trust meeting persuade you otherwise to what we working, tax-paying, responsible, respectful citizens expect from you and this trust. Thank you.
Okay, I found this on the web.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. The next one, please, Cassie.
Connie Grimm.
All right, Connie Grimm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If you have allowed these radical extremists' intimidation to sink in, then please regain your strength and do what is right for Oklahoma County instead of helping illegal aliens. Be bold for the citizens and support ICE in the jail. Please take control of your meetings by stopping the back and forth dialogue. These extremists are not interested in any rational thought. I suggest going to just an online format. They are not part of the committee, so they should only be addressing the committee during public comment time. Do not turn our county into Seattle or Portland or California or New York. Be worthy of the public's trust. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next one, please, Cassie.
Jeff Horn,
I believe it's Horn.
yes, Jeff Horn.
Okay. Not at this time. What's the next one, please?
Gayleen,
Gayleen, are you ready to join us?
I am.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I came down Monday to see for myself the business that was taking place at the meeting, and was really disappointed that I was not able to be heard, because there were individuals who just jumped in front of line, demanded to be heard and was heard. And my name was never called, even though I filled out a form. I came early. I went through the proper channels. And then to watch the meeting descend into chaos because there were people who were louder and more disruptive. They were calling names and threatening. That is not civil discourse. I go to the polls, I elect people, and I understand they can do that too. And I totally understand that. But public hearings and public meetings should be conducted in a civil manner. I fully support, and I think that they, to their credit, came down to the jail trust meetings early, got involved, and were being very loud. But when the drama happened that they wanted to kick ICE out and the whole CARES funding sent someplace other than to the jail that we know is a disease infested problem building anyway, it's such a challenge that the jail trust has to live with the structures that they have. And I appreciate that they're looking out for the safety and welfare through the CARES Act funding to make sure that the violent and mental health individuals are kept in maximum security, and others potentially are going to be in a safer place, and that there is funding there to help with this pandemic. ICE is a federal agency. If they want to abolish immigration, if they want to abolish ICE, they need to do that at the federal level. I appreciate that our jail trust is considering the needs of the people. It is disturbing to me when our current sheriff, we're going through an election now, so our current sheriff released someone who raped a woman and released him because he wasn't legally in this country. I can't imagine her knowing that her perpetrator was set free just because of his status as not a legal citizen, so that they didn't have to turn him over to ICE. There is no fairness in that. We need ICE there so that these individuals who cause havoc with our citizens are not allowed to go back to their country and hide from justice. Justice should be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cassie, who's the next person?
Anne Brown. Anne Brown,
Ann Brown, are you available? Ann Brown? Okay, next person, please.
Faith Pinkerton,
Okay, next one, please.
Sarah Odom,
Sarah Odom, I see you're available. Are you ready to start? Sarah Odom, you're on mute. Are you available?
Okay,
There you are.
all right, let me change it.
There you are. Please go ahead.
enforcing the law. That's what law enforcement means. Enforce the law. If we don't like the laws, we can lobby the legislature to change the laws, but we need to enforce the laws on the books. I believe that's the biggest problem in our country today is back in the 1960s, they quit enforcing the law, especially on certain people who were prominent or well-known or wealthy or whatever. So first of all, we have to enforce the law. As far as the meetings go, where are the sergeant at arms? The sergeant at arms should be controlling the meetings and not allow them to be disrupted. This is the marching order on the left. Go in and disrupt, cause chaos so that no work can get done. You need to print out a list of rules for the meeting, hand them out to everyone who comes into the meeting, and make it known to them that if they disrupt the meeting, if they are loud and obnoxious, they will be removed by the sergeant at arms. This might be for better meetings. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the work you guys do.
Thank you. Cassie, who's the next one?
Lent, Duncan Lent.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, go ahead. Thank you for joining.
All right. I also echo the sentiments of the others that have been chimed in here, that ICE should be allowed in the jail to do their job and to vet the individuals that are in the jail that are about to be released. We have had too many instances where individuals have been released that were not legal in the United States, and they go out and commit more crimes. The instance of Bob Berry Jr. is one of those. The individual that committed the crime, and it was an innocent, not so innocent, traffic infraction that got a citizen killed. If this individual hadn't even been in America, we would still have Bob Berry Jr. on KFOR. That is all I have to say right at this point in time. We just need to keep ICE in the jail and for public safety purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. Cassie, who's the next speaker?
Lindsay Webb.
Lindsay, are you ready? Please go ahead.
They shouldn't be deciding immigration policy. They should work with all law enforcement, whether the FBI, the county sheriff, or ICE. It is outrageous not to cooperate with federal law enforcement like ICE. We are not Seattle or Portland or California or New York. We don't get to pick which laws to obey, and we must cooperate with ICE. If people don't like ICE, then get Congress to change the law. Don't spend my tax dollars trying to fight in court to kick ICE out of jail. You won't win ultimately, and you are losing public trust by fighting law enforcement like ICE. Quit allowing yourselves to be bullied by people who talk out of turn, curse at you, and have nothing better to do than bully people at public meetings. Don't be bullied. There are many more that support law enforcement and ICE than small groups of rude bullies you are forced to put up with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cassie, who's the next one, please?
David McMillan.
I see an Adam McMillan. Is that the same?
Yes.
Are you ready? Mr. McMillan, I know you're on mute. Are you ready to proceed? Are you ready now, sir? We are not able to hear you. Cassie will come back to McMillan. Who's the next person?
Pam Pollard.
Pam Pollard, I saw you earlier. Yes, are you ready to proceed? I can't hear you either. There.
Yes.
There you are. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to speak with you again. I was there the other day in person, and we'll continue to come back each and every meeting because we support our jail trust. We support you. We trust your decisions. But I also, again, want to reiterate that this is about supporting all law enforcement. And people like to talk a lot about discrimination. I think it would be discrimination if you choose not to participate with one law enforcement over another group. So just want to encourage you to just keep doing a good job. You've got a lot of citizens out there that's looking and appreciating what you're doing. But again, I just encourage us, let's cooperate with all law enforcement and let's work together to get some of these laws changed that we may not personally agree with, but it's not your responsibility, fortunately, to have to determine that. So we'll work and try to get some of these issues taken care of that are very serious concerns that others may have. But thank you to everyone on the Jail Trust. We do appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Adam McMillan, are you able to speak? Are you able to? We're still not able to hear you. All right, we'll try again. Is there, Cassie, who's the next name?
Sean Cummings.
Mr. Cummings, are you ready to talk?
Oh, I'm always ready to talk. Okay.
All right, please go ahead.
So,
3 minutes.
since this is the end of the meeting, comments done at the beginning, I would like to point out that we've got emails that have come to light between around August 10th is where they started, between Chairwoman Everest and Kevin Calvi to confirm that he was pulling the idea of transferring all of the CARES money from the jail, from the Treasury to the jail from the Treasury Department guidelines from months earlier. It also shows that he intends to effectively launder the money using Emergency CARES Act funding replaced by budgeted funds so they can be used on capital improvements. Now, we've all acted like we didn't have any prior knowledge to the vote, and we've all acted like we didn't have prior knowledge the money was coming over here. So all of that has just now been debunked, and I would like to get to some truth on this, and I would also like to point out for the record, the construction company is from Paris, Texas, that's working on the jail. They are not from Oklahoma, whoever it was that lied online and said different. Thank you.
Thank you. Cassie, who's the next one?
Mr. Washington.
Michael Washington.
Greetings, illustrious guests. Greetings to my family, I guess, 2 or 3 there. Let me very briefly state here, and may I borrow yours completely, because I intend not to hold you long. You're getting ready to see a different Michael Watson today than you saw a couple of days ago. That's because I had a rush judge from Tulsa. This time I took a nice drive from Tulsa here to make sure I had it all right. Let me say by saying this. To begin with, my heart goes out to the untold thousands of immigrants who have been deported since President Donald Trump took office almost 4 years ago. More importantly, though, there have been over 500 immigrant children separated from their families to date, and no one seems to know their whereabouts. ISS rounded up at least 20,000 former immigrants who worked diligently to prove themselves to become citizens here in the United States of America. However, they've been treated like vicious animals and have not been able to do so. Many have landed in jails across the country. Some have been detained and deported. Still others are missing in action. By providing space lines, really, to operate in the Oklahoma County Jail, this flagrant, malicious agency you're providing a safe haven for this rogue agency to continue their ruthless, callous, vicious, and intolerable, inhumane treatment of human beings. Most of whom escape their violent countries and their situations, hoping to be given safe passage here in the United States. However, the United States didn't accommodate them, no. On the contrary, they were forcibly detained like animals in cages where they lingered inhumanely, unconsciously, and unconstitutionally, packed like sardines in a can. Finally, as a man whose conduct and mannerisms speak volumes of his love for the otherwise voiceless, whether you're American or not, Michael Watson's voice will be speaking on your behalf. I say that the same clothing, Mr. John Michael Williams, you misled the public last 2 or 3 days ago, in that you stated that, in your opinion, there needs to be at least 5 members to vote yes before an item can be approved by this body. That's not legally so, sir. That's simply just isn't the truth, and you missed on that score.
15 seconds, Mr. Washington.
I'm sorry?
Why would you interrupt?
15 seconds.
Okay, I'm almost, okay, I'm almost finished. You are getting your opinion then? Okay, now, before then, it simply isn't the truth. I'm getting ready to close, y'all. We know that a 5th vote is only necessary when there's a tie 4-4 vote on the signed by the voters. In a nutshell, then, what you've done.
Thank you, Mr.
is
Washington.
commandeered the very
Time's up.
basic fundamental principles of due process of law by essentially telling the 4 who voted in favor of ending ICE's presence in Oklahoma County jail that you could single-handedly undo a decision they reached.
All right, thank you. Andy McMillan, I believe that you have audio now. Would you like to continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My concerns mirror a few here. It's in reference to the ICE agents in the jail. My concerns are this. The Oklahoma County Jail is a massive jail, one of the biggest in the state. They have a lot of inmates, and the city of Oklahoma City has a lot of immigrant people in it. For ICE to be in the jail just makes sense. They, as was stated earlier, have the ability to vet who leaves the jail and is on immigrant status and be able to handle on a federal level those inmates. Removing those ICE agents from the Oklahoma County Jail, I feel, is a huge mistake. As said, we are not Seattle. We are not New York City. We have a different way. And I feel like we are smarter than that. That's really all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your effort. Cassie, who's the next person?
Yes, Betty?
So you're ready to speak?
Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes, go ahead, please.
First of all, I realize that somebody has mobilized the racist white supremacist, predominantly white women, and Karen to come to speak in this meeting. And so, consistent with the problem of conservatives in America, there's an ignorance of history and in a hypocrisy of policy stances that I want to remedy quite quickly. First of all, I want to point out that what we're protesting in ICE is a continued pattern of colonial settlerism consistent with white civilization, Western civilization, that has discounted and minimized and marginalized the lives of black and brown people as being less than white people since the beginning of American history, since the beginning of British history, really since the inception of Western civilization, really starting with the Roman Empire, which culminated in the execution of a brown man, Jesus Christ, and continues to this day to be a theme of disrespecting, murdering, and genociding black and brown people who are non-white and not part of civil society. So when I hear these requests for civility from the people who are opposing the practices and patterns of ICE, I say unto you that these voices that are uncivil to your white ears are the voices of history that have been opposing every genocide and human rights violation for centuries and millennia now. It's disrespectful and is consistent with white culture and white systems to say that black and brown people aren't permitted, and it's impolite for them to express how they feel, or for that matter, for white people to express a legitimate and righteous outrage at human offense. Right now, ICE is sterilizing women, separating children, and it is not within the prerogative of the Oklahoma County government or any local state law enforcement to cooperate with them. This contrasts deeply with the well-established conservative principles of federalism, meaning there's a separation between the state and the federal government. Something that usually liberals are more interested in is federal and state collaboration, but it's interesting to see conservatives disregard that cornerstone of their policy to, if it's in the interest of oppressing and harming Black and brown people. And again, I want to point out that you've changed your policy on public comments again. It's restrictive. I also want to point out how disgusting it is that throughout this meeting in response to comments, I have to look at Tricia Everett's smirk on her face as she continues to disrespect and disregard the opinions of the public. You have no competence. It's why it's costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal fees. You've taken over the jail trust and driven it into a hole of public controversy and corruption. And we need you to step down immediately because you don't know what you're doing.
Sarah Baina?
Yes, can you guys hear me? I've got a jet flying over my house. Am I audible?
You are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to go ahead and reiterate what Mr. Eddy said. Unfortunately, Tricia Everett, you have lost any confidence or any ability that I, as a human being, consciously could give you to be able to trust you at this point. I want to reiterate that I do believe that you are a racist. Your complacency over the last couple of months and your active engagement to implement and enforce racist practices in Oklahoma County is what has empowered a group of right-wing racist radicals to feel that it is okay and it is normal to come to a public meeting to articulate racist language, connotations to people who are Black and brown as rapists, and for a group of white folks whose violence has dominated all of modern history to sit here and point a finger at Black and brown people, particularly immigrants, and to imply that we are the rapists and the criminals in this very violent nation is just not statistically true. It is racist, and your complacency in calling out and acting as a racist is what has empowered racists to infiltrate and try to hijack public interest. You are not qualified to be the chairperson of this jail trust. You are not, and I have heard you over and over again claim to be an advocate for those who are trapped and forced in the criminal justice system. You are not a true advocate of those people. Rather, you exploit those human beings for your own self-interest and for your own profiteering. I am signed up to speak on agenda item number 4. I don't even know where this conversation about ICE popped up on the agenda. I know that there are attempts to continue to abuse police powers in order to continue doing your corruption, embezzlement, and fraud by utilizing police powers to suppress and oppress the taxpayers of this county from taking any type of ownership and it being able to engage in their own local government. It is important, Tricia Everett, that you understand that you need to step down from your position. You are unfit for this job. You have amplified the voices of local racists within this community. You have created a dangerous situation for vulnerable human beings, and particularly victims and survivors of violence.
Thank you. Cassie, the next one. I'm sorry, what was that name?
That is the end of public comment. There are several other people here who would like to speak.
Thank you. We're going on with our meeting at this time.
I was signed up to speak on agenda item number 4. I don't recall that issue being discussed.
We're returning to the regular agenda. Item number 1. I call for a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. Comments, questions? Call the vote. Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown. Mr. Couch.
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
Trustee Ekerweku,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Trustee Arnold. Believe she stepped out. Trustee Arnold, you with us? We'll call for her back. The chair votes yes. We're entering executive session. Would the county clerk please make the appropriate arrangements and let Trustee Arnold back when she comes back on.
Just a second, we'll let you know when the room is cleared.
I believe we have only those that need to participate in an executive session here. Everybody else is out.
Wait one
Are we able
moment.
to get- Walter, we need to let Ms. Susan Arnold back in.
All right, I got you.
At some point when we have the meeting back, which I think when we can hear each other, Trustee, they are on it. Thank you all. And it's nice to see you all and
Absolutely.
welcome aboard, Robert. Are you still on vacation?
I am, and I am, but that's not a big deal.
Yes,
No, we're not done. Let me see.
yes.
Okay, they are done. Okay.
Yes.
With executive session, let me rephrase that.
Yes.
Okay. So the public's coming back in. Cassie,
Yes, sir.
do I talk into that or into this?
That.
This?
No.
Yes. Okay.
You guys good?
Chair, I move that we leave the executive session and reconvene in open session. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Couch. Calling the vote. Mr. Barry,
Yes.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown.
I said yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Trustee Ekerweku,
Yes.
Trustee Honeycutt,
Yes.
and the chair is yes. We are back in open session. I move that we go straight to item number 4, discussion and possible action to improve the engagement of Gable Gobbles. Is there a motion?
Move the item.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barry. Comments or questions from the trustees? Hearing none. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Against my better judgment.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Couch?
Yes.
Mr. Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Ekerweku?
Yes.
Trustee Honeycutt?
Yes.
And the chair votes as yes as well. Thank you and welcome. Returning back to the agenda for item number 3.
Madam Chair, I advise that we move to proceed as discussed in executive session.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Comments or questions? Trustees? Hearing none, calling the vote. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Couch?
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
trustee Ekwuekwu. Thank you. Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
and the chair is yes. The chair will move as we had moved the comment prior to. I move for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? Hearing none. Mr. Brown? Mr. Couch?
Yes.
Mr. Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Ekwuekwu?
Yes.
Trustee Honeycutt?
Yes.
And the chair is it. We are adjourned. Thank you all for your time and your service.
Thanks.